Hello everyone, thanks for being here today. My name is Alessandra. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to attempt to design something from the Bargain Bead Box on camera. I have never done this before, so be patient with me. One of the things that I want to point out is that my process changes quite a bit. So sometimes I go back and change things as I go. I never have been good at just coming up with something and sticking to it. I think my mind works a little differently. I'm not sure if it's my ADHD or what it is, but I change things often, and it takes a while for me to be truly satisfied with the design. With that in mind, I would like to encourage you to also change things as you want, because sometimes what I do might not be exactly what you want. So it's important to remember that. More than anything, I would like for everyone to be inspired to use this box and just not let your beads sit around as I sometimes do myself, and I'm guilty of that. But I do want to try to come up with a few designs to show at the end of the month. And for today's video, I'm going to attempt to make a necklace. So hopefully I'll succeed in my endeavor, and hopefully I'll be posting this soon. In the meanwhile, come with me and I'll show you some of the tools that I'm using on top of these beads. So I will also be moving around between my bench and my table. I do have some tools here. I might use all tools. I might use none of these tools. I think there's definitely a couple that I will be using for sure. But, I just wanted to show you I often have everything out because I am not sure what I'm going to use because, as I said, my process is a little bit jumbled. But basically what we have here is some round nose pliers right here. And then that's the one that had the round nose like that. Then we have some chain nose pliers. They're basically like it's a little bit narrower than the flat nose pliers, which are these over here. And then I have some cutters, wire cutters, but I use mainly these for beading wire. And then for my metals, I use this one because it's sharper. And you want to try generally not to mix metal with other things, the things you use for your metals with other things, because the blade will get dull if you use this interchangeably for everything. And you don't want to use these with steel wire especially because it's very rough and it will destroy your tools. And this was not the most expensive tool, but it was expensive enough that I really don't want to ruin it. Then we have a bench block. This is what I will be hammering my wire that I plan to use. And then we have a mallet, which is used to harden the wire on the bench. Okay, so let's go and take a look at my table. I forgot to mention also that I'm going to be using some additional supplies, of course. I'm going to use some bead strand, the 49 strands from Beadalon, because it's very flexible and very strong. I don't have a copper color, so I'm going to be using this bright color. It's just kind of like the standard. And then I'm going to be using some possibly 18 gauge. I might change it if the beads don't fit, but 18 gauge copper wire. And then I have some little beads from Africa that I might add as spacers, I might not. And then I also have this Toho 6 O's that I think I'm going to incorporate in the center of the necklace. We shall see. So this is the rough draft of my design. More or less, I think that I'm pleased with it, but we shall see once it's strung. Sometimes things don't work as you think, so you have to change things. But I do pretty much want it to be a simple necklace overall. And I really did like the combination of the carnelian with this more seafoam crystal rondelles. And then they're just large rustic ceramic beads that are really pretty that I showed in the previous video. And then this large barrel bead. And I also wanted to add the spirals and this half, I forget what this is called right now, but it's kind of like lunette, I guess, spirally pendant. And I think what I want to do, I want to bring it down quite a bit, and I want to make sort of a rounded connector right here with my copper wire, and then I want to add some more crystal beads to bring this design together. So we'll see how that works. So I couldn't quite get my stand to hold my camera, but basically just take about 4 inches of copper wire, or whatever wire you have. If you have like a copper plated wire, like craft wire, that will work too. Just kind of shape it into a circle. If you have a mandrel, that really helps. Just wrap it around the mandrel and kind of pull, and then take the mallet and just kind of bang on it so you can get this nice circle. And then you're going to keep on banging lightly. Of course, I would have to hold it with my hand. But go ahead and just keep banging, make it a little bit harder, but not too hard. And then once you're done with that, I'll show you what to do. Okay, so you should have like sort of a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as close as you can. And after hammering it with the mallet, it should be pretty stiff, but not like super hard. you know, you can still pull it apart. So the idea is that we're gonna get this cylinder bead, and we're gonna have it about here, and then we're gonna have some loops going around it. So let's just do that. So I figured out that you know, bending the wire first wouldn't work. So what you want to do is actually string your beads. I decided to use those turquoise seafoam rondelles, and then I had some of my African spacer beads. If you have any flat beads like this, you could do this, or you can also use jump rings if you have some thick jump rings. Copper or other colors, it doesn't really matter. It's up to your aesthetic. But I do like how this is looking. So now what I want to do is still figure out a way to get this on top, but not necessarily be attached. Just have this looping around the sides, because what's going to happen, this is going to go in the center of the wire, and these are also going to be hung on the wire, this little loops that I'm going to form. So let me see if I can figure that out with one, and then I'll show you the other. So I bent this like this, and I'm going to show you how to do it on the other side. I'm going to push all my beads over here because I'm going to have to want to have a little bit of a space. I want some movement here. I don't want it to be completely rigid and stuck. I want these beads to be able to move a little bit. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, have some space right there, and then I'm going to bend this backwards by pushing it like this. Okay, and don't worry, these are a little wobbly, that's fine. As you can see, I have some space here, so when this moves down, there should be a little bit of movement, just a little bit. And we're gonna loop these. So to loop, I'm gonna go get my chain nose pliers or round nose pliers, and we're gonna do that. So I made one loop, and as you see, it's a little bit crooked, but I'm gonna straighten that out later. So to make the loop, you just wanna cut the wire a little bit because it's too long. So I'd say it about there or so, and try to cut with this side right here like this, because it's gonna give you a flush cut, especially if you keep it pretty straight like that. And then you're gonna take your round nose pliers, and you're gonna take the very back, and you're gonna pull it and just loop it like this. And once again, you want to try to meet. The important thing is that the wire meets so that the, you know, it doesn't slip off the beading wire later. So more or less we got this. And actually I don't mind leaving it like this because it helps it kind of stick out a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. And there's still a little bit of movement, and that's good. And then you want to make sure that this is kind of centered. It got a little misshapen, so what you can do is go back and try to, like, you know, just fix this and make sure it's aligned. I'll have to do that off camera because it's really hard to do on camera. But, you know, you can take your chain nose plier and keep rolling, cutting a little bit of the wire, like right there, and then just, you know, keep rolling it down. And that way you kind of have sort of a more even. And then you want to push these two together until they look more even like this. And what you want to make sure is that they kind of meet this a little more like that. You know, you can always push them out a little bit. You just have to kind of finagle with it and just straighten this out, you know, and just make sure that they kind of aligned to the outside holes of this more or less. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So my designs kind of looks like this, so you can't see it. And what you want to do next is go ahead and put some jump rings on this so that these dangles are ready, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is approximately a 6mm jump ring right here. So what you want to do to open a jump ring is you get a flat nose plier and the other one, I can't think of the name right now, and you just kind of just pull. But you don't want to twist or anything because you don't want to misshape the jump ring. And then you can slide this on like this, and then you can, excuse me, it's really hard to do this in the air like this, but and then you'll just close it the same way you came, going past a little bit, like until you hear sort of a click, if you can. I hope you can see that. And then you want to make sure you wiggle it back and forth slightly until it aligns and that gap is closed. Okay? More or less. I mean, the gap is very small. It's not going to slip out, but if you're concerned, You can keep wiggling in and out until you feel like the gap is closed, like that. Just make sure you don't pull it this way. You want to go forward and back, forward and back. Okay? So you're gonna do this to 6 charms. Now I feel like we're finally ready to string on our necklace. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that you will definitely need some crimps to crimp the ends of your necklace. And then optionals are wire guards, which I really like because they help make sure that string stays strong and doesn't get worn out. Because, you know, this is the part that you're going to use a lot, the um, clasp. And I feel like just adding some wire guards really helps with the sturdiness of the necklace. And then these are obviously not necessary, but I do like to use crimp covers if I haven't. I happen to have the wire guards and the crimp covers in copper, so I'm probably gonna add them. I'm probably gonna start by stringing the center of the necklace because that gives me a good idea of how things are gonna hang and work. So let's just get our 49 strand, but you can also use the 19. I wouldn't go lower than that with bead along because I do feel like the 7 strand is a little harder to work with, stiff, and it tends to break easy. So I would definitely go with a 49 or a 19. So I'm gonna cut about I don't know, I would say about 2 feet just to be sure, or a little bit less. The length of the necklace that I'm trying to do is about 18 inches. So I would go with maybe 2 feet. So the first thing I'm going to add is my bead over here, my large one, and try to get it more or less in the center. It's not as important right now, but so you know how it feels on the wire, how it hangs, you can kind of feel it. And then you're going to take this one, this little thing that we made, and we're going to slide it on one side like this. And then we're going to take the wire on the other side like this, and take the other side of this thing that we made and just kind of weave it in, and it should look like this. So it just should be hanging in there. And you want to kind of make sure that you check how it hangs. I know I can't show this very well on camera, and we can check that later, but before you string your beads any further, you just kind of want to check that it hangs right. So mine looks a little crooked, and I am starting to think that I probably will have to take it out and just readjust a little bit until this feels more centered. It could be also the hole. I think I just need to make sure that it's more squished in and perfectly round. So I might have to take this off and just run it through the mandrel one more time and make sure that this is actually even on both sides. So I'll be right back. Okay, now I feel like it's straighter, so hopefully we're good. And I'm gonna keep continuing stringing my beads. I did decide to probably use this toho in between the spirals because the spirals are not moving enough between those larger beads, these beads over here. So this is what I mean. You have to kind of tweak and try and tweak and try until it looks right, it hangs right. I hope that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and start stringing the center, and then I'll show you how it looks like. So I wanted to show you how things are coming along. There's a couple of things that have changed along while I was making this. As I said before, I kind of knew it would happen because this is what happens to me a lot. I end up changing things a lot because certain things work, certain things don't work. For instance, I decided to put one less of this charm, and it's still good because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a center. It's still an uneven number, which is still visually pleasing. And then another thing I did, I decided to use the crystal seafoam rondelles instead of the toho. There was something about the toho that I wasn't quite enjoying, the way they were sitting against the jump rings of these charms. And then I also subtracted some of these crystal beads from here because I don't know, I just thought that this looked better. Maybe putting some crystal rondelles would be good, but I think that would take the whole tribal feel of the piece away. So I kind of like it like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep adding after this a little rondel, and then I'm going to use my what are those called? The orange beads that I can think of the name of, the gemstone, the agate. So I'm going to alternate, and I'm going to stop when it gets to about 16 to 18 inches in length because that's the length that I want. So, and I'll show you how that looks like in a little bit. So this is basically where I'm at right now. And I put this against my neck and I really like the length. I stopped at 16 inches. So as you can see, it makes it 8. Make sure that that cylinder right here is dead center. And now what we're going to do is we're going to finish the necklace by adding our crimps. And then if you want to, you can add your wire guards, and that's what I'm going to do. And then you can add, if I have space, I'm going to add my crimp covers. So let me go ahead and do that and show you how to do that. So it turned quite dark and cloudy outside, so I had to go ahead and turn on my light. I know I prefer like, daylight to film, but it's not always possible. So I just turn on a light so you can see better. So the first thing we're going to do is get this necklace off of here because we don't really need this anymore at this point for measurements. We can put it to the side and keep it there. I'm going to redistribute my beads later. And another thing that I want to mention is I am going to, leave in the descriptions below which beads I used so you don't get confused. With the exception of these little beads right here, I think everything else is from the box. And I did end up adding some caps over here. I don't know, I just thought they looked nice as a spacer. So, but let's go ahead and get these this necklace finished up. So I'm gonna slide my crimp beads right here, and then I'm going to take the wire guard and I'm gonna slip it over there. This gets closer, and then I'm just gonna twist it around and just bring it down here. So you can see just kind of going like that. You don't want it necessarily there because you have to pull it down a little bit. I mean, you don't have to at this point. It's more like the other side that's important that you do that. But yeah, you can go ahead and slide this down. You want to have some space right there. And then you want to make sure that this one goes in here like this and it doesn't cross the other wire. You don't want the wires to cross. If that makes any sense. So you're going to just probably pull the beads up first and just light it up like this, and then just light that up like that, and you're just gonna keep it like right there, and then you can go ahead and crimp this on the side because you can either use some of these pliers, the chain nose or the flat nose, and just squish it. I have a crimp tool, so I'm going to go get it and I'm gonna use it. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it about here, flatten it, or just crimp it like this, and then take this side, the side with the little teeth, and just squeeze, but not too hard because you don't want to break. And then you're gonna take this and you're gonna round it up a little bit. That's what I like to do. So you should have something that looks more or less like this. Let me see if I can zoom in. It just looks kind of like this, basically. I hope that makes sense. And then you're gonna take these and slide the beads and just tuck this in. It's pretty basic, but I know some people need guidance because they're new at this. I am not super new to beading, but I'm new enough in other things like bead weaving. I'm new at that, but I've done some beading in my day. So before I switched to metalsmithing, which by the way, if you want me to cover some simple metalsmithing videos, I will be happy to oblige, as well as electroforming. So just let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in that, because I know how to do it. It's just I'm trying to shift my focus more on beading because that's what I'm enjoying right now. So you just we'll slide the whole necklace up and then we'll do the other side. Okay, now we're gonna do the other side and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna slide our crimp bead here. This one is very small, and each crimp bead size is designed for certain size wires. So if you go in the back, if you have bead along crimps, in the back it'll tell you the diameter of the beading wire and the corresponding crimps that you're supposed to use. So that's usually what I do. I just follow that guideline. And once again, you're going to take your wire guard if you decide to put one. If not, you can just loop this around and you're just going to put it in like we did before and loop it around. So I can make sure that these wires don't cross. And then you're going to pull it way down like right here. Actually, you're going to make sure that it goes in the crimp first, so pull it back up a little bit and then just slide the other side in the crimp and through some beads, and then you're gonna slide this down and you're gonna find that wire between the beads like right there and you're gonna pull it, And you're gonna slide these beads down and pull it again until it's pretty tight. You don't want it too tight because you want still little movement, but not too much. That's too much. So you're gonna kind of finagle with it and just kind of keep pushing things until you think you're pretty close to having, you know, a strand that doesn't move too much, just has enough wiggle room but not too much. Especially if you want to put some crimp cover, you do need a little teeny bit of wiggle room. But I'm gonna go ahead and crimp this like I did before, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna take my crimp cover and pop it in here because I want it to look a little bit more finished. I feel like this really helps because it covers the silver crimp that we have, and you just slide it in. It has an opening, and you just kind of slide it in. It looks like that, and then you take your crimp nose pliers, your crimp pliers, and you just kind of go in that space that has a you know, round part, and you just kind of start squeezing it very slightly and very slowly, and then you're gonna go back and reshape. And you want to be gentle with this. You don't want to do too much marring or anything like that. Like mine is looking a little bit bad, so I'm just gonna keep playing with it until I get more of a round as I can, like this. I hope that makes sense. So I'm gonna put it on the other side as well, and I'll be right back. And then I can show you how to attach the clasp with the jump rings. Okay, now we're gonna attach our clasp, and we're gonna do basically the thing that we did with the charms. We're just gonna take some jump rings and just open them up like I showed you, just side to side. Never pull this way, always like do this movement. And then you're gonna loop around your necklace over here, and then I'm gonna use the toggle clasp that the box had, but you can use, I don't know, a lobster clasp, whatever you want. I just want to use this time because I do like the design and how it goes together. This sort of have spirals as well. So just gonna take that, and you're just gonna close it just like I showed you earlier, and just make sure that wiggle it back and forward until, and push kind of in slightly, so you can get something like this closed. And you're gonna do that on the other side as well, and then I'll be right back and I'll show you the finished piece. And here we are. This is how our piece looks like. I really like it. It's simple, but it's also fun because of this little piece that it's a little different. And that's really what jewelry is about, just adding your own little signature, I think. But I hope this helps and that it gives you some inspiration, and then you can reproduce this if you like it. Hopefully I wasn't too all over the places, and I hope this tutorial was helpful and that you liked it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Once again, I thank you for being here and watching my videos. I'm really appreciative of that, because I know that you're taking time off your day, and that's precious. Time is very precious. And then if you could subscribe so you can get more content like this. I hope to make more tutorials in the future, and I hope to get better and better at them. I am planning some earrings with this box, and that'll probably be it for tutorials, but it's a start. So we'll see how that goes. But I will leave a picture of this necklace that I can take in the daylight tomorrow so you can see it a little better. But I'll see you next time, and have a great night or day whenever you're watching this. Bye.